edition of the Wake and Jake College Football Show. Uh, Today we are trying out something new. We are live on YouTube to recap Week 12. Uh, this is going to be somewhat of a typical episode where just recapping games, recapping the betting weekend, finishing off with Dude, Are You High? Um, Last episode, I was supposed to give out my top 25. We had some technical issues during that segment. So um, decided to, instead of re-recording it, just throwing it in on today's episode. So um, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it and have a good wake and bake sesh. All right, we're gonna get the top 25 out of the way, and this does include. I tweaked it a little bit from where I had it earlier this week, just because games were played yesterday. So I did update this. Now, when it comes to the top 25, like the top five or so, you could probably argue in any order. Then like 6 through 12 to 13, you could probably argue in any sort of order. And then after that, again, any sort of order. With my top five, I've got Indiana at 1, Ohio State at 2. I will hear any sort of argument that should flip flop those two. It's fine. I completely understand. I will listen to that argument. Texas A&M, and we'll get into their game a little bit later. I do still have them in the top five. I have them at 3. I've got Georgia going up to 4, Ole Miss at 5. I've got Oregon at 6, Texas Tech at 7, BYU at 8. I've got Oklahoma at 9, Alabama at 10, Utah 11, Georgia Tech 12. Now, through the top 12, and we still have not mentioned a couple teams. I do not have Notre Dame or Miami in the top 12. Um, could you argue that they should be there? Sure. I'm stuck with Notre Dame just because I do think that since they started the season 0-2, they have gotten significantly better. We've seen that defense get better. We've seen Jeremiah Love just absolutely dominate. And we'll get into him a little later. CJ Carr has been better than he was against Miami. There's still a lot of football left, so let's hold off on getting upset that Notre Dame's not in the top 12. But I think, and I know the playoff committee does have them there, I just don't have them there quite yet. I've got Miami at 14. That might be too high for them just with how they've been recently, but they're still a two-loss team. USC at 15, Virginia at 16, Michigan at 17, Tennessee at 18. I've got Texas still ranked. I will hear arguments that they shouldn't be, though. I will listen to those arguments, and I may even agree with you. I've got Pitt at 20, even though they did just get destroyed by Notre Dame. Same with Texas. I'll listen to any arguments that they should be unranked. I've got Arizona cracking the top 25, coming in at 21. I think they're a very underrated team. I don't think enough people are talking about Arizona. I've got Illinois, 22. I've got San Diego State coming in at 23. Now, AP poll, college football playoff committee, whatever you want to call them, they had USF as the top ranked group of 5 team. And then the AP poll had JMU as the second highest. I'm just going to assume the playoff committee also had JMU up there. I don't. I've actually got San Diego State ahead of them, and I've got North Texas ahead of them. I got North Texas coming in at 25. I skipped 24. I've got Wake Forest at number 24. I also have them cracking the top 25. Maybe they don't deserve it, and that's fine. They're still a 7-3 team. Offense leaves a lot to be desired, but that defense is pretty solid. I've got Wake Forest cracking the top 25. Like I mentioned, there's certain teams that I will listen to arguments that they shouldn't be ranked where they are. That's fine. You know, everybody's has their own opinion. But that is my top 25. I was supposed to put that in the last episode, but I got it in this one. All right, let's start talking about some games. We'll start with Friday's games. Clemson 20, number 20, Louisville 19. Louisville's dropping out of the top 25. It's official. I had them in my top 25 going into this weekend, and I don't anymore, obviously. Um, Man, Clemson did everything they could to give this game away. They really did. They had so many opportunities to completely put this game away, could not capitalize, gave Louisville every single chance to win this game, and they just couldn't do it. Clemson took a 20-19 lead with 7-ish minutes left in the game. So Louisville had like 3 chances after that to take the lead. And 2 missed field goals, one from 50, the other from 46. So it's not like they were chip shots, but still 2 missed field goals that would have won the game. I mean, shout out to Clemson. It's basically a guarantee that they're going bowling now. They're going to win at least one of their last 2 games, if not both. But man, what a disappointing season for Clemson. Good win for them. I did not trust Louisville, partly because they're an ACC team, partly just hadn't been impressed by them. And then they dropped this one at home. Unfortunate. Minnesota Minute. Just know I had no, and I said this in the preview, I had no expectations going into this game. And honestly, this is going to sound so sad. Minnesota exceeded my expectations. Minnesota 13, Oregon 42. This was not a shocking result. Let's be honest. Nobody's shocked by this at all. Even Minnesota fans are not shocked by this. This is exactly what should have been expected. I would say if there is something that shocked me and was kind of a nice surprise, Minnesota scored 13 points. I'll take it. They had not been able to score a touchdown against any top 10 defense yet this year. They finally did it. I'll take that small victory. I've seen not just Minnesota fans, other college football fans in general complaining about the refs, but I've seen a lot of Minnesota fans complaining about the refs from this game. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the officiating. Whether or not that Noah Whittington touchdown should have stayed a touchdown, whether or not that Jeremiah McClellan touchdown should have been a touchdown, does not matter to me. Because in the end, it did not change the outcome. The Ducks absolutely dominated this game from start to finish. Dante Moore was like 27 of 30. They ran it all over this Gopher defense. It was domination, start to finish. Those 2 calls did not change the outcome. Minnesota, I still think they're good enough to finish 8-4. They got Northwestern and Wisconsin. Northwestern's not an easy win, but Wisconsin, it's a rivalry game, so who knows? But both games are winnable. They can still finish the season 8-4. But yeah, that was not surprising. All right, Saturday's games. Starting with, we're just going to get out of the way. The best game of the day. Well, maybe the best comeback, best finish of the day. Number 3, Texas A&M 31, South Carolina 30. My goodness, what a bipolar game from Texas A&M. What a bipolar game from Marcel Reed. Texas A&M, and I've seen a lot of bad offense as a Minnesota fan. Texas A&M with one of the worst first half performances of all time. Marcel Reed, he did not look good in the Notre Dame game. And then for a while there, I mean, he looked fine, and Texas A&M was winning games, so can't really complain. But then he came out against South Carolina and just looked terrible. Looked like he had never played football before. 3 turnovers in the first half for Texas A&M, but actually Marcel Reed had 3 turnovers. All 3 of those turnovers were turned into points. Now, Marcel Reed had a terrible stat line in that first half. His receivers also did not help him out. They did drop 4 balls in that first half. Special teams missed 2 field goals, including a 24-yarder in that first half. Just a brutal showing from Texas A&M, and they were down 30-3 at halftime. And the defense couldn't really stop. Too many explosive plays allowed. to the South Carolina offense that has been frankly terrible this whole season. They've been the worst. And nobody expected this. Nobody saw this coming. You're down 30-3 at half. Marcel Reed just looks awful, and then you come out and score 31 unanswered points to win the game. Insane. Scored on 4 straight drives in that second half to take that lead. Greatest comeback I have ever seen. Marcel Reed's stat line for the first half, 6 of 19, 141 yards, 2 interceptions. In that second half, completely different player. 16 of 20, nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. What an all-time collapse by South Carolina. Shout out to Texas A&M. Shout out to the offense, the defense, the coaches, all around. I don't know what was said at halftime, but whatever it was, it worked because it was a wake-up call for Texas A&M, who is still undefeated. My future on Texas A&M to make the playoffs is still looking pretty good. I guess I didn't really give the defense enough credit. They completely, like I said, they were allowing a South Carolina offense that, like I said, has been just awful. Get too many explosive plays in that first half. South Carolina had 312 yards of offense in that first half. They only had 76 in the second. What an insane roller coaster of a game. What an insane comeback. Insane fumble by South Carolina to not close out that victory. Easily the game of the day. Number 18, Michigan 24, Northwestern 22. Okay, I didn't see this coming, but I told you that Northwestern was going to put up a good fight. Now, did I think that they were going to have a lead for a good chunk of that fourth quarter? No, I definitely did not see that coming. This feels like a game that Michigan, well, obviously because they're a ranked team, they're a good team. They definitely should not have had it been this close. They never should have had to kick a 31 game-winning field goal as 31-yard game-winning field goal as time expired. But they turned the ball over 5 times, had over 500 yards of offense. They would move the ball, turn it over. Move the ball, turn it over. 3 of their 5 turnovers did happen in plus territory. Northwestern's offense, they just struggled to sustain drives. Michigan just tried their hardest to give this game away. Tried so hard. And Northwestern just couldn't quite take it from them. They took a lead, like I said, but man, Michigan, a little lucky. Number 21, Iowa at number 17, USC. USC comes away with a 26-21 win. Iowa just couldn't quite do it. I had them winning this game, and in that first half, I was feeling pretty confident. 21-10 lead at halftime, and then USC just couldn't be stopped. And Iowa's offense really couldn't do anything either. USC's offense, if you watched the first quarter, you thought they were in trouble. And then the second quarter happened, and they started to move the ball and started to score. And starting in that second quarter, they scored, and then they scored for the next 5 straight drives. They found a groove in that second quarter, and it did not stop until the second half. Makai Lemon, 10 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. I really thought the combination of the weather in this game and Iowa's defense would completely slow down this USC offense. Did USC put up the numbers that we typically see from them? No. But they did not slow them down nearly as much as I thought they would. Great win for USC. They still have a pretty tough schedule moving forward. They still have to face Oregon. I don't remember who the other team that they have to. Oh, UCLA. Duh. They still have to face Oregon. Still have to face UCLA. Neither one are guaranteed wins. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, what a great win for USC. I really didn't think they could do it. The ACC's got a problem. They just don't seem to be very good. Number 16, Georgia Tech, 36, Boston College, 34. Georgia Tech's defense it's a problem. It really is. It is so bad. The offense is good, but the defense, my goodness. Boston College is not a team that you should have to come from behind to win the game. They trailed 28-17 going into the fourth quarter. This defense, like I said, the offense is good enough that they may still win the ACC. They may still make the playoffs. This defense is going to bite them in the ass at some point. Haynes King with over 400 yards of offense. He was phenomenal per usual. Again, it goes back to that defense. Dylan Lonergan and Turbo Richard just absolutely torched them. Here's the thing with Georgia Tech. They feels like they've been flirting with disaster, including losing a game that they shouldn't have lost. They've been flirting with disaster, and they finished the season with Pitt and Georgia. Now, only one of those is a conference game. I understand that. But they could easily drop both of those games and miss out on the ACC title and a playoff berth. That defense needs to figure it out. Number 11, Oklahoma, with the upset 23-21 over number 4, Alabama. I was wrong. I didn't think Oklahoma would be able to do this. I didn't think they would be able to go on the road and upset Alabama. I didn't think that the offense would be good enough, and we'll get into it. The offense really wasn't that good for Oklahoma. It's just their defense kind of stepped up, and special teams. Oklahoma might officially be, if you listened to me last season or the season before, my Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Mizzou of old, where I just think they're overrated, think they're not going to win, and they just keep winning and proving me wrong. Because I didn't think that they would beat Tennessee, they did. I did not think they'd beat Alabama, they did. Now, one thing I will still stand by, I do still think they're susceptible to the pass. Now, they've been good at making adjustments, especially in this game against Ty Simpson, who in the first half was 22 of 31 for 246 yards, a touchdown. He did throw an interception that was returned for a touchdown. But in that second half, 6 of 11 for 80 yards. They made the correct adjustments in that second half. We're at halftime to shut down Alabama's passing attack, but Oklahoma, they have shown some susceptibility to the pass. Alabama finished this game with 3 turnovers on offense, one of which was returned for a touchdown, which in the other 2, so one was returned for a touchdown, the other 2 turnovers gave Oklahoma short fields. The Oklahoma offense had a lot of help from the defense. A lot of help and the special teams, because first drive of the game, they got to start at Alabama's 30-yard line because of a punt return. And then they had 3 turnovers, which gave them 7 points, and then gave them short fields, which they turned into 10 points. If you take away the help from that offense or from that defense and that special teams, Oklahoma's offense was truly only able to get 3 points on their own, which is a little concerning. Again, short fields and defensive returns for touchdowns really helped them out a lot. Oklahoma, again, they were given short fields, so it's hard to have a lot of drives go over 30 or 40 yards. They had 2 drives go over 30 yards, a 31-yarder and a 41-yarder. Alabama had 6 go over 40 yards. Oklahoma's offense only finished with 212 yards, which, again, given short fields, they didn't have a lot to work with lengthwise. So maybe add on a couple there for a normal game, but 212 yards is not a lot. 3 of 13 on third down, that's not good. This is a game that Alabama really should have won, and they didn't. They just couldn't capitalize. Oklahoma, they are now 8-2. They have Mizzou and they have LSU left. Based on what we've seen from both of those teams, and they both won this weekend, but what we've seen so far this season, injuries, coach being fired, that sort of thing, I don't know that either team is going to end up beating Oklahoma. Oklahoma might make the playoffs. Number 10, Texas at number 5, Georgia. Georgia just honestly dominated Texas in this one, 35-10. What a great win for Georgia. I think it's official. They're a 7-3 team now. I think we can officially say that Texas is bad. They are just they're not good enough to make the playoffs, win the SEC. They may even drop one of their actually they may drop both of their final games. They're not a great team, or it's hard to say good team because they're still 7-3, but I don't think they're a very good team. Now, Georgia took an 14-3 lead early in the second quarter, and it stayed that way for a while. Texas just couldn't really get much going offensively at all throughout that game because midway through the third quarter, Stockton threw an interception, which gave Texas field position at like the 36-yard line, somewhere right in there. And so that's phenomenal field position. They were able to turn that into 7 points. And then Kirby Smart said, absolutely not. I am not letting you guys get momentum. They went on a 10-play, 73-yard touchdown drive with 2 fourth-down conversions on that drive, one of which was because of a Texas penalty, but whatever. Georgia then pulls a surprise onside kick. Just the nuts on Kirby Smart to do that. 9 plays, 53 yards later, another touchdown. And they all of a sudden are out to a 28-10 lead. Just Kirby Smart, as soon as Texas showed any sort of life, just absolutely smothered it, choked him out, and said, "Nope, not happening." The Texas offense, after that short scoring drive off the turnover, did not touch the ball for 11 and a half more game minutes after that. It was a while before they got the ball back. Great win for Georgia. Texas is now officially out of the playoffs, and like I said, I think we can officially say that they're bad. Oh goodness. Number 3 Utah 55, Baylor 28. You ever see the movie Stand By Me when he asks you guys want to go see a dead body? You guys want to go see a dead body? It is Baylor after the whooping that Utah just put on them on their own field. I said going into this game that Baylor struggles to stop the run and they struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Where I was wrong as I said it would be Devin Dampier that goes off. Instead, it was Bird Ficklin. They brought him in a few times for some packages and 6 rushes, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, I don't want to overshadow what Wayshawn Parker was able to do, 15 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. But Bird Ficklin, my goodness, just absolutely dominated this Baylor this Baylor defense. Uh, Utah finished with 380 yards on the ground at 8.8 yards a pop. Brutal showing from Baylor's defense. And here's the thing too is Utah's got a great pass defense, and so I thought maybe Sawyer Robinson would struggle a little bit. And he had his moments where he did throw 2 interceptions, but he threw for like 400 yards. It's not that Baylor didn't move the ball; they still scored 28 points. Their defense just had no answer for Utah's run game. TCU 13, BYU number 12 BYU 44. The TCU crash out continues. They've lost 2 of their last 3, and then that one win in the last 3 was against West Virginia, and it was much closer than it should have been. I've been saying it for a little while now. I'm a BYU believer. I'm a Bear Bachmeier believer. Bear Bachmeier had a great game. BYU's defense absolutely smothered this TCU offense. Josh Hoover finished 10 of 23 for 183 yards and 2 interceptions. BYU, I'm not going to say guarantee, obviously, but BYU finishes with Cincinnati and UCF. Both are very winnable games, especially when what we saw from Cincinnati. Uh, I don't want to say they're a shoo-in for the Big 12 title yet, but they're kind of a shoo-in for the Big 12 title at this point. Or I should say title game. We have Wisconsin at number 2 Indiana. Indiana comes away with a 31-7 win. I mean, shout out to Wisconsin. They did keep it close for the first half. It was 10-7. But in the end, Indiana was just too much for them in that second half. Wisconsin turned the ball over twice. Both gave Indiana good to great field position. The Badgers, they finished the game with 168 total yards of offense. Just could not get anything going offensively, which is to be expected because that's how it's been for them all year. Fernando Mendoza, 22 of 24, 299 yards, 4 touchdowns. And it's official. Indiana has punched their ticket to the college football playoff. They are 11-0. They have Purdue remaining on the schedule, which don't like to throw around the word guarantee, but I mean, come on, that's got to be a guarantee win. Wisconsin. I know they said that Luke Fickell is coming back next year, which I don't know if you're gonna love that as a Wisconsin fan, based on what he's done so far. Because Wisconsin is now missing out on a bowl game for the second consecutive season, which previously they hadn't missed one for like 20 something years or something close to that, and now they've missed a bowl game in 2 consecutive seasons. Brutal, absolutely brutal. Number 9 Notre Dame 37, number 22 Pitt 15. I mean, this game was just never close. Pitt scored a touchdown in the final play of the game. Notre Dame wasn't really putting in a lot of effort to stop the play. So this score is much closer than the game actually was. I told you going into this game that Pitt's run defense, which had been one of the top run defenses in the country, that they were a little fraudulent. And sure enough, Notre Dame with 175 yards on the ground at nearly 5 yards a pop. Jeremiah Love. He is not getting enough love for the Heisman, pun intended. I think this week we will finally see people start to put him in their top 3, 4, 5 candidates. He definitely deserves to be there. We've seen him. When somebody puts out their list of like their top 10 candidates right now to win the Heisman, he might be like 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in there. Some people don't even mention him. He needs to be in the top 5, at least, because he is having a phenomenal season. Going into this weekend, he was 4th in all-purpose yards, tied for 1st in total touchdowns. Today he added another like 160 plus yards and a touchdown. He needs more love for the Heisman. Now, Pitt's high-flying offense, ever since, well, it was still kind of high-flying before Heinzel took over, but with Heinzel, they have been throwing that ball around, and it's been beautiful. They finished with 219 total yards, and they were 2 of 18 on 3rd and 4th down. Mason Heinzel, 16 of 33, 126 yards and an interception. Pitt's 5-game winning streak comes to an end. And Notre Dame, they survived their final test of the season because they have Syracuse and Stanford remaining. I'm sorry, those are not games that Pitt, they're not a challenge now, or not for Pitt, for Notre Dame. Those are not a challenge. Now, if they lost, it would be pretty funny, but nobody considers those to be actual tests. But my biggest question coming out of this game is, can we please start giving Jeremiah Love the Heisman hype that he deserves? Arizona went on the road to number 25 Cincinnati and came away with a 30-24 upset. I called it. I told you going into this game that Cincinnati was on upset alert, and they lost. Arizona is an underrated team that does not get talked about enough. Their defense is good, and they do not get talked about enough. And I think this week we will finally see Arizona get the love that they deserve. Going into this game, I told you Brennan Sorsby against the best 3 defenses he's faced, and these defenses are pretty good. UCF, Nebraska, and Utah, he had struggled. Against every other team, he was thriving. Looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Again, Arizona, they have a good defense. Brennan Sorsby in this one, 15 of 28, 154 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. That's not good. Arizona's offense, you could argue they left a lot of points on the field. I think they missed 2 field goals. Had a lot of drives get into Cincinnati, into plus territory, and then just couldn't capitalize because they finished with 475 yards of offense. They scored 30 points. But you could argue they should have scored a lot more, and that this should have been much more lopsided game. Noah Fafita, 23 of 31, 294 yards and a touchdown. In that second half, Arizona, and I say legit drive, they scored on every legit drive because I don't count the final drive when they're just running out the clock or kneeling it out. They scored on every single drive in that second half. Shout out to Arizona. Like I said, they are not talked about enough. They were quietly a 7-3 team, and the rest of their schedule is winnable. Um, I think I think people need to start talking about Arizona, and I think they will start this week. Now this next game, which actually I'm going to talk about a lot of teams in this next little part. I do not cover Group of Five. I just don't talk about them that much, mainly because I just don't have the time to do that. Uh, so I really only talk about Power Four. But because of playoff implications, we are going to talk about this next game. Number 24 USF, South Florida, goes on the road to Navy and loses 41 to 38. In the first three quarters of this game, there were 40 total points scored. In the fourth quarter, there was 39 combined points scored. Just crazy game. Navy was up 24 to 9 at half. South Florida fought back, but just couldn't quite take the lead back. South Florida is now 7-3. They were the College Football Playoff Committee's highest ranked, and I think only ranked, Group of Five team. Yeah, they were the only one ranked. They're no longer going to be. Uh, Navy is now 8-2, so maybe they will take the highest ranked spots. James Madison could possibly take over that spot. But there's a few other Group of Five teams that could be the highest ranked Group of Five team. Like I mentioned, Navy, JMU, San Diego State is 8-2, North Texas is 9-1, Tulane is 8-2. Any one of those teams could be the highest ranked Group of Five team this week. Ooh, talk about ugly game. Kansas State and Oklahoma State. Kansas State comes away with a 14-6 win. Yuck. Uh, Tough, ugly win for Kansas State. Thank God for their defense, who forced 5 turnovers, because they could not get much going. All 14 of Kansas State's points came off of turnovers. Oklahoma State, this is a game that you should have had. You're a 1-9 team. This was your shot. They had 7 drives get past Kansas State's 40-yard line, and they only came away with 2 field goals on those 7 drives. That's it. Ugly win for Kansas State, but a win is a win, so you can't complain that much. But ooh, should never have been that close. Kansas State currently sits at 5-5 after starting the season 1-3. They still have games against Utah and Colorado, which, I mean, they can beat Colorado, and I'm not saying that they can't beat Utah. It's just not likely. But a bowl game very much on the table, which did not seem like a possibility for them the way they started this season. Arkansas 22, LSU 23. I mean, Arkansas, they finally hold a Power 4 team under 30 points, but they still could not come away with their first SEC win. Brutal. Uh, and they had a lead most of the game in this one. Their first score came on a blocked punt in the first quarter. And then they led from that point in the first quarter all the way until just under 8 minutes left in the game. And then they lost it. Had a shot to take the lead back and just couldn't quite capitalize, missing a 48-yard field goal with 5 minutes remaining. And then LSU got the ball back with 5:08 left and then did not give the ball back. So tough loss for Arkansas. They're still looking for their first SEC win. And actually their first win since that first weekend in September. They have 2 chances left to get a win. Texas and Mizzou. And I'm still undecided on if they will win one of those. I know a win is possible in both of those games. I know that a loss is also possible. I'm still undecided if they will actually win one of those. West Virginia 23, Arizona State 25. No Sam Levitt, no Jordan Tyson. Jeff Sims is your quarterback. Still not a problem. Maybe I don't give enough respect to Jeff Sims. It's just, based on how he's been his whole career, he turns the ball over a lot. And I thought that now that he is the full-time starter the rest of the season, that this would be a disaster. But they've won the last 2 games with him as the starter. Arizona State, they got out to a 22-10 lead. West Virginia came back, to take a 23-22 lead before Arizona stole it back again. I mean, it was a slim, slim chance that West Virginia could make a bowl game this year. They had to win out. Those slim chances now are officially dead. But there was a chance at one point that they could make a bowl. Penn State 28, Michigan State 10. Penn State finally snaps their losing streak. Michigan State still remains winless in the Big Ten. Katron Allen in this one, 25 carries, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. Penn State's defense, 5 sacks, a turnover, and 229 yards allowed. Penn State still has Nebraska and Rutgers remaining on their schedule. Both of those are winnable games. We may see Penn, Penn State, they are, after losing 6 straight games, they're still eligible to make a bowl game, or have the potential to make a bowl game. They just got to win out, and winning out is possible for them. Michigan State, on the other hand, I don't know that they're going to get a Big Ten win this season. They still have Iowa and Maryland. Iowa, they're not going to beat. I'm just putting that out there now. They're not beating Iowa. They could beat Maryland. They could. I think Maryland is a better team, though. UCF 9, number 6 Texas Tech 48. I mean, so this was Texas Tech's 7th straight game without a bye. And so I may or may not have said that they could be a little tired or looking ahead to their bowl game, or not their bowl game, their bye week, and that UCF to cover might be the play in this game. I could not have been more wrong. So wrong. Texas Tech led this game 38-2 at halftime. UCF never stood a chance. This game was over immediately. UCF's offense coming out of halftime had a 75-yard drive. So, you go into halftime, you're like, all right, let's script a drive, let's go out there, let's execute. And you did that with a somewhat scripted drive. And then on the final drive of the game, when the game is over at this point, they had a 50-yard drive that ended up being their final drive, like I mentioned. So take away that garbage time drive, take away that scripted drive coming out of halftime. They had 117 yards on offense on 9 other drives combined. This game was over as soon as it started. Number 15, Miami, hosting NC State, and Miami comes away with a 41-7 win. I put Miami on upset alert this weekend, which was a mistake. Because it's Mario Cristobal, it's Carson Beck, anything's possible with those two. But this was never in doubt. NC State did not score until 2:18 left in the game on their final drive. Before that final garbage time drive, which Miami was leading 41-0 at that point, NC State had only 83 yards of offense. 83 going into that final drive of the game. Ugly, ugly game from NC State. I look a little stupid for putting Miami on upset alert, but I think it's fair with my reasoning. Wake Forest 28, UNC 12. I was pulling for UNC in this one. I really was. But unfortunately, Wake Forest defense and their special teams, just too good. UNC just could not quite capitalize. They had 6 drives that got as far as Wake Forest 16-yard line, 20-yard line, 39-yard line, 24-yard line, 18-yard line, and 29-yard line. That's 6 drives that get pretty far into Wake Forest territory, and they had to settle for a field goal every single time. Not once were they able to convert those into touchdowns. And of those 6 field goals that they attempted, 2 of them got blocked. It's one thing if one of them gets blocked, but to have 2 field goals get blocked, absolutely brutal. UNC is now 4-6, and the streak continues where when North Carolina can score 20 points, they are undefeated. When they can't score 20 points, they can't win the game, which is a shout out to their defense, but is kind of embarrassing when you think of their offense. They've got 2 games remaining. They're currently sitting at 4-6. Home versus Duke, and then on the road to NC State. Both of those games are winnable. So they could still go bowling. That offense has got to step it up, though. They're playing 2 bad defenses to finish out the season, so there's a chance that we see, North Carolina score 20 points again. But man, they need to win out if they want to go bowling. Number 19, Virginia, 34, Duke 17. I mean, Duke just continues to lose to good teams. They are now 5-5. In their 5 wins, those teams have a combined record of 24-27 on the year, and one of them is an FCS team. Of their 5 losses, those teams have a combined record of 41-11. When Duke plays a good team, they're going to lose. That's just what it comes down to. They're probably going to finish the season 6-6, 5-7. That's just an average team. Virginia's offense, and here's the thing: Manny Diaz, he's a defensive-minded coach. He's a defensive coordinator by trade, and he's got a terrible defense at Duke. Virginia's offense was able to get 540 yards of offense. They were 12 of 19 on third down. Just brutal showing from Duke. They play a good team, they lose. That's just simple as that. Virginia, they still have Virginia Tech left on their schedule, and that is it. They are currently 9-2 with 1 ACC loss. Virginia Tech's a rivalry game, so you can't say that it's going to be a win, but Virginia is the much better team. I mean, I guess they kind of control their own destiny now when it comes to the ACC title. I got to look at the standings and tiebreakers and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure that if they just can beat Virginia Tech, they're in. Number 7, Ole Miss hosting Florida, and Ole Miss comes away with a 34-24 win. I do not understand this Florida team. I just cannot get a read on them. There's no rhyme or reason as to when they care and when they don't. Sometimes they care and fight. Sometimes they don't care and they don't fight. I just can't figure them out. Florida led this game because, by the way, I don't know if you remember, they got destroyed last weekend by Kentucky on the road. DJ Lagway got benched at halftime, and it's not like this game was at home. This game was also on the road, and they decided to show up and fight. I don't understand what's going on at Florida. But Florida did lead this game 24-20 at half. They did struggle in that second half, though. 103 yards of offense, 2 of 9 on third and fourth down, no points scored. This score feels like it's much closer than it should have been. Ole Miss should have and could have won this game by a lot more. They left a lot of points on the field, which seems to be kind of a theme with them from time to time. They had 2 drives that ended with a turnover on downs inside Florida's 5-yard line. So they marched all the way down to inside the 5-yard line, got it to 4th and goal, tried to go for it, didn't convert, essentially, is what it comes down to. So they should have scored a lot more than they actually did. This game, especially in that second half, was a lot more lopsided than the score shows. Ole Miss had over 500 yards of offense. Kawan Lacey, 31 carries, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns. Trinidad Chambliss, 26 of 35, 301 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Again, this game was much more of domination by Ole Miss than the score shows. Ole Miss is currently sitting at 10-1. Their only loss is to Georgia. Their last game is against Mississippi State, which is a rivalry game. Can never count them out. But at this point, I mean, Ole Miss has punched their ticket to the college football playoff, right? Like, even if they lose to Mississippi State, I feel like they still make it. Speaking of Mississippi State, Mississippi State had to go on the road to Mizzou, and going into this game, I just said I don't think Mississippi State's going to win because their run defense is so bad, and Mizzou does have a talented running back room. When I said all that, I did not think it would be this bad. Mizzou wins the game 49-27. And when I say dominated on the ground, they absolutely dominated Mississippi State on the ground. Ahmad Hardy, 25 carries, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I said going into this game that Matt Zollers cannot go 7 of 22 again for them to win this game. He could have gone 7 of 22. It wouldn't have mattered. He basically did that anyways. He went 8 of 15, 112 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he threw an interception. But he could have gone 7 of 22 again for 70 plus yards, and Mizzou still would have won this game because Ahmad Hardy could not be stopped. Tough loss for Mississippi State. I saw a lot of fans upset that Blake Shapen is still the starter. Completely understand at this point. I'm curious if he'll be the starter against Ole Miss. But yeah, shout out to Mizzou. What a great win. Ahmad Hardy. Pat yourself on the back. He's the only, I think they showed the stat. He's the only player to have a game with like 250 plus yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and he's done it twice, and nobody else has done it once. Absolutely insane. Later this week, when I do the preview for Week 13, we will talk about the ACC and what's going on with that. There's been a lot of talk that that the playoff could see 2 Group of 5 teams and no ACC teams, and I just really don't think that that's possible. I don't. I don't think the ACC is going to get completely left out. I don't think we're going to get 2 Group of 5 teams in, especially since USF just lost. I feel like they were the best. They were the best shot. Now it's kind of up in the air as to who's going to be the best ranked, and you're not going to get 2 in. That's just my thought moving forward. But we'll talk more on the ACC title race, and I guess we'll kind of update where everybody else is sitting as well. Big Ten, SEC, ACC. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, the ACC, they're making it as they are making it difficult. The fact that we're even having this conversation tells you just how bad the ACC is. But I don't think we're going to get no ACC teams in the playoff and 2 Group of 5. That's just not going to happen. Betting recap. Here's the thing. I think what I'm going to start doing is, because this keeps happening, where I have my list of bets, and I give out my 5 favorite out of this list. And the 5 favorites that I give out don't do well. But then the ones that I don't give out do well. This week would have gone, if I had given this, if I gave out all 20 of the bets that I had listed there, would have gone 10 and 10, and you would have been down like, I think it was like 0.16 units. So you basically would have come out even. I'm not saying that that's great by any means. And I'm still going to give out my 5 favorites, but then I'm going to give you all the other bets that I have written down, because those also seem to win. So what you really, based on my history here, when I give out my 5 favorites, you fade those, and then you take all the rest, and you should come out a winner. Because I went 2 and 3 this weekend, and the Power 4 moneyline parlay wasn't even close. Arizona started it off with a win, and you thought, nice, here we go. And then Alabama lost, Iowa lost, and UNC lost. The 2 bets that we did hit out of the 5 were team props. Utah over 213.5 rushing yards, never in doubt. They had 380. Cincinnati to have less than 231 receiving yards, never in doubt. Wasn't even close. Alabama minus 5.5. That one was tough. That one was real tough because, again, if you just looked at the box score of that game, even, you would think, and didn't see the score, or I guess you would have to block out the turnovers probably. It's a game that Alabama should have won, and they didn't. So that's a tough bet. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. Oh, Tennessee. I mean, that offense did not have the performance that I was hoping they would have, especially in that first half. It's not like this game was ever in doubt. And I mean, 42 points. Well, some of that was from the defense, but 42 points is nothing to scoff at. I just thought they would score a lot more in that first half, so that was tough. What was that last one? I don't even remember what the 5th one that I gave out, but it lost, so it doesn't even matter at this point. Okay. Finishing up with my favorite segment. Dude, are you high? And This week, the winner. Well, I wanted to somehow twist it so that I could give it to college kickers because there was a lot of bad kicking this weekend by these kickers, which it's college football. That's going to happen. They're college kickers. But I can't really ask if they're high just because they missed a field goal. So instead, I am giving it to the state trooper at the South Carolina Texas A&M game. I'm sure you've seen it. Nick Harbor, 80-yard touchdown catch. He like runs up into the tunnel and he's coming back. Players are celebrating with him in the tunnel. They're coming back out towards the field and they're trying to walk past a state trooper who stands his ground, and you could argue even maybe threw a little bit of a shoulder into one of the players. And then he turns around and starts yelling at Nick Harbor, who didn't even bump him at all. It was more the other player on the left side, but then turns around and starts yelling at him to get back. Like, dude, you were in the way. You were the one that threw the shoulder, and then you're going to turn around and start yelling at him like he's the one that, came out of his way to bump you. You're just mad that your team was losing at that time. They won. You can't take your anger out on the player just because you decided you didn't want to get out of their way as they were trying to walk. And yes, you could argue they should have moved, and it looked like they made an effort to kind of, brush past you and not make contact. But you went out of your way to throw a little bit of a shoulder and to yell at them afterwards. Not a good look. You're a state trooper. Be better than that. Dude, are you high? Anyways, thank you all for joining me. This is new, doing the live. If it seems like it's successful, we will continue doing this moving forward on Sunday mornings. Um, if it didn't go smoothly, I apologize. It's the first time doing this. It will get better, hopefully. But yeah, we're gonna try doing this, see how it goes, and if it's successful enough, or we enjoy it enough, we'll do this as a trend moving forward. But yeah, thank y'all for joining me. It was a great weekend of football. I will be back later this week to preview week 13.